Today's show, we're going to check out some buyout targets for your Golden State Warriors. But first, help us reach 47,000 subs here at the channel. We picked up over 100 yesterday during the NBA trade deadline, so make sure to join one of the fastest growing Warriors YouTube channels out there. Welcome into Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Matthew Peterson, and on today's show, we're going to check out some buyout target candidates for Golden State. Now, a couple quick disclaimers. By the time you're watching this, some things could have changed. This stuff is very fluid in the NBA, but none of these players have currently been bought out of their current contract. They're just candidates to do so, and if that happens, well, they could become targets for Steve Kerr and the Warriors. So let's start things off with everyone's favorite, Russell Westbrook. I wonder if he's even in Utah right now. I doubt he got in a plane to Salt Lake City. He is most likely going to get bought out by the Jazz, and then he could sign elsewhere in the NBA. Now, this season, he's averaging just under 16 points per game, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. We know Russell Wilson is a man to we know Russell Westbrook is a man to fill up the stat sheet, but sometimes it feels like it's not very efficient and it can be a bit of empty stats. So let me know if/when, because I really doubt Westbrook will end up playing for the Jazz, should the Warriors sign Russ? Should they bring a former NBA MVP to the Bay Area? Yes or no? Next guy I want to talk about is Patrick Beverley. He is with the Magic, but I don't think that's going to be for long. Now, Beverley this season, of course, Beverley just in general, we should say, we know can be a bit of an instigator, and something tells me that maybe Curry and Thompson aren't really on board with bringing Pat Bev up to Golden State. So I would say this is a long shot target for the Warriors, but nevertheless, he could be a buyout candidate. Now I want to look at Reggie Jackson from the Hornets. So if the Golden State Warriors want to bring on some more guards and whatnot to help with that side of the court, Reggie Jackson could be a very viable target. In 2022 to 2023 so far, he's averaging just under 11 points per game and 2 rebounds as well. You're also going to notice a bit of a theme of a lot of these guys were like NBA 2K stars almost 10 years ago now, and they're just sort of names that we remember, but the stats themselves don't really jump off the page as, oh, that's a must-sign guy right there. So let me know who you think the best buyout target available is, right? Who do you think is the best of the group right here of potential buyout candidates? And then maybe the Warriors could go out and sign him. Speaking of guys who peaked a little while ago, what about John Wall? Yeah, he's actually back on the Rockets, which is so weird to say because no one really remembers him on the Rockets in the first place. But after going from the Clippers back to Houston, he doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild there. The Rockets don't want to give him empty minutes. They want to see that going to their young core, like the first time John Wall was there. So I definitely anticipate the Rockets buying out his contract. And I like John Wall. If it was 2015, 2016, I don't really see him finding a home in Golden State. But who knows? Maybe the Warriors decide we're not where we want to be right now. Let's bring a big name scorer onto our roster. Try and light a match underneath these guys. Now, in terms of forwards, there is Kevin Love from the Cavs, who is not a part of the Cavs rotation. A lot of Cavs fans were wondering / hoping even that he might get traded. He, of course, we know is a fan favorite there in Cleveland. I don't think the Cavs are ultimately going to buy out his contract. He has just been such a pillar in that locker room. My guess is they are hoping he is okay with a lesser role on the team now that the trade deadline is passed and he's not going anywhere else, and he can just be sort of the next, like Udonis Haslem, if you will, for Cleveland. Now, we got some more buyout candidates to get to and targets in just a second, but today's show is sponsored by Fume. We all have bad habits, and we certainly know how hard they can be to kick those bad habits. Our sponsor, Fume, is on a mission to accelerate humanity's breakup from the bad habits that consume far too many of us. Fume is a natural diffusive device that uses plants and behavioral science to help you trade out your negative habit for a positive one. I personally didn't expect a whole lot out of Fume when I first got it, but the minty sensation is quite powerful. Now, I do want to show you guys the awesome flavors that come in the Journey pack. Plus, you can see right here, it's lightweight, it fits in your hand, it's perfect to go. But they've got white cranberry, maple pepper, along with crisp mint. Now, Fume is not a vape. It's a non-electronic device designed to transform your negative habits. The easiest way to stop a bad habit is to actually switch to a positive one, and Fume is designed perfectly to do just that. So head to tryfume.com/chatsports and use code chatsports to save 10% off when you get the Journey pack today. That's tryfume.com/chatsports. Promo code chatsports. They're going to give you 10% off. I've got that link for everyone in the comments and the description of today's show. Moving on to this museum of awesome 2K players from 6 or 7 years ago. Danny Green is next up. Another player moved, and again, similar situation with John Wall. The Rockets are not in a spot where they want to give minutes and starting roles to players who are not going to be there long term. They want to see younger guys develop, and so if/when the Rockets buy out Danny Green's contract, maybe the Warriors take a look at this and say, hey, we could use some extra depth. The Golden State Warriors do currently have a roster spot open, if memory serves correct, so Danny Green could be a name to watch for. Again, I'm kind of dubbing all these guys as rather unlikely. Now, from the nation's capital, there's Will Barton, a guard for the Wizards, former Memphis Tiger. This season, he has not had a season necessarily to remember. 7.7 points per game, 2.8 boards, and 2.5 assists on 38% shooting from the field. Now, if/when any sort of NBA news happens, we keep you guys informed. But not just that, we keep you entertained. So if you were entertained and informed during our NBA trade deadline coverage here, make sure to hit that thumbs up icon to boost this video to more Warriors fans out there. Now, this next player, I do think has a decent shot of falling or popping up on Golden State's radar, and that is Richaun Holmes, the former Bowling Green legend. He was a one-time starter for a good period of time with the Sacramento Kings. He has fallen out of their starting rotation this year. This could be a player that maybe Golden State takes a look at and says, you've got some good starting years behind you. Maybe you want to come over and help us get things back on track by providing us some much-needed depth so that if/when injuries do pop up, well, we're not a sinking ship. Former Raptors legend Terrence Ross is hanging out with Mickey Mouse and Disney, but he's probably not buying a weekend pass. He could be an easy buyout target for the Orlando Magic. Terrence Ross definitely helps you stretch the court a little bit, has the size, has the shooting capabilities to go along with it. Again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but this is literally an all-star team of NBA 2K 2016. You know what I'm going to say next. I don't expect the Warriors to be pursuing or barking up this tree, but I think Ross is probably a bit more likely than the Russell Westbrooks and the John Walls of the world. Finally, it's a former Pacers legend, current sort of, George Hill. So the Indiana Pacers, George Hill, another guy who could be bought out of his contract this season. The same for the rest of the bunch, falling out of the rotation, only 5 points per game. He's up in his career. Could easily see George Hill looking to hop off the Pacers and try and go on a title run with the Warriors. Even if their record doesn't look like it right now, if they make it into the postseason, who's betting against the Dubs, honestly? So get back to school for me. Get your red pen out and let me know what grade you would give the NBA trade deadline for this year. A, just stop there. It has to be an A. It's one of the most exciting trade deadlines in all of sports in recent memory. From Kevin Durant going from Brooklyn to Phoenix to all the other flurry of moves made, like D'Lo going back to LA, it has to be an A in my book. I appreciate everyone who took time, tuned in, and made us a part of your day. If you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and do so. We'll keep you guys up to date on all the latest Warriors news and rumors.